AITA for showing favoritism for my daughter and financially hurting my son. I am not the original poster. That is you, throw Ara Saveodala. He posted in r, am I the asshole? This was a popular yet controversial post on AITA a few months ago. Let me know if it needs trigger warnings or mood spoilers. Original post. March 28, 2023. My ex-wife 36F and I 36 meters have been divorced for 7 years now. We have twins. Both 17. My wife and I are the stereotype of high school sweethearts. I'm more of a geek. She was a cheerleader. My son takes after my wife and my daughter take after me. When they were younger, I gave them the option of allowance. They could either spend the money on what they wanted to, or I could walk them through investments and savings. My wife was all for this at that time. We explained that they each have a set amount of money that we have put away for future schooling, as well as a car fund. At first, both of my kids decided to invest it, and I started to show them how to and the risk involved. My son put his into a very risky investment, against my advice, and ended up losing it and decided not to do it anymore. Within a few weeks, my daughter started off rough but quickly got the hang of it, playing with different investments and companies. She has been in the positive most weeks. The issue is that due to this, my daughter has saved up more money than her brother. She also likes to spend most of her time over at my house versus my son over at my ex-wife's house. My daughter's interests are more minimalistic when it comes to most things and does not spend a lot of money. She will when she finds things she likes. She is not into fashion, rarely puts on makeup. When she does, it is very light, bought a used but nice car, etc. They just got their acceptance letters for college, and she will be able to pick any of her choices due to grades and her savings plus our contributions. My son, on the other hand, spends most of his money when he gets it. Always has new clothes constantly. Bunch of shoes. Bought a new, very expensive car with payments. Goes out all the time. And spends everything he gets. My son is upset because he can't go to the college he wants because he would need to get a loan. And with what I make, he doesn't qualify for much. My ex says I need to stop favoring my daughter and financially hurting my son and just paying for his college, among other things. Her and her side of the family are all calling me an AH for not paying, because you easily could. I told them that they had a choice when he was younger and he didn't listen. I also pointed out the fact that if he had saved his money, he would have also been able to go where he wanted. He needed to get a job to cover costs if he wanted to go. And life was about choices. TLDR. My daughter is more like me. A geek. My son is like my ex-wife. Popular and materialistic. Gave them an allowance and the opportunity to invest and save. Only my daughter did. And now my son and family are mad that I'm not giving him more money and favoring my daughter. Early ETA. I did keep asking him to try again throughout the years. But he didn't care. I gave up almost 2 years ago when he said he wanted to live almost full-time at his mom's house. We had an argument that made me back off. I didn't just stop and drop it when he was really young. Edit 2, March 29, 2023. Next day. We did not give him his college fund. He has enough money in his college fund that he can attend a community college for 4 years or a good college for 2. Nothing fancy or big. The money that was invested was allowance or spare money. My daughter would use B-Day money, Christmas money, allowance, or any extra chore money. His fund was never used in any way other than for school. It is safe and locked up. Allowance was free to use money. The school and car fund were separate and not accessible by the kids. I am not bragging, but I could send them to the best colleges for as many years as they want. and fund their lives comfortably. Edit. From a comment. Question on what I meant by, among other things. Basically, unlimited schooling, backpacking trip across Asia, paying his car off, lodging near campus, and living money were all brought up. Most by my ex-wife. She has not put anything towards these funds. Relevant comments. There were a lot of comments from OOP, so I very much narrowed them down. Clarification. There were a lot of people confused. Commenter. Are you saying you taught your kids how to invest regular allowance? And your daughter kicked ass at it while your son didn't? And that each kid still has their earmarked college fund, but daughter just has killer savings on top of that? OR. Did you give these kids large sums of money at a young age and son blew it while daughter was responsible? OOP. We set aside money for schooling and for a car. Just for the sake of numbers. Not real numbers. $5,000 for car, $15,000 for schooling. Then, on top of that, their allowance of $100. Have fun. Do what you want with it. Spend it how you will. But you can invest or save it with the possibility of losing it or doubling it or more. I can show you how. But all decisions are up to you. You don't always make money. But I won't make you do anything you don't want to do. Car and schooling were a set amount, not touchable. Allowance was its own thing. 100% theirs to do as they wished. Explanation about their relationship. How much he tried to advise son. I was there the whole time. Explaining things and how they worked. He understood them. I answered all the questions he had. I did this for years. Tried to drop hints on good opportunities or good investments. But also ways to grow wealth outside of investments. When the divorce happened, I could tell he was annoyed by it. So I backed off a bit but still encouraged him. Then the fight happened 2 years ago. And he made it clear what he thought of it and me. There is only so much I could do in my situation. In his eyes, I'm always the problem. I'm the reason he is in this mess. I'm the bad guy who wants to ruin his fun. I'm now ruining his future. I'm not a fun parent. I love my son. Do I think he makes dumb decisions? Yes. I don't know how else to get him to release. All I have ever done is love him and try to encourage him in the right direction. Sometimes, immediate self-gratification isn't the answer. Sometimes, you have to make decisions that affect the future. He was young when we started, but he isn't anymore. If he sold his car, he got a cheaper one and sold some of his shoes he could afford to go to the school he wanted to go. 2. Why did you allow your son to buy a pricey car? Why didn't you talk to him? He just never listened fully to what I had to say. My ex and I both co-signed the loan. I made sure to explain to him that I didn't approve of what he was doing. Putting a financial strain on him so early. I'm not stopping him from making decisions. If I don't agree with it, I will tell him and offer different solutions or options. People criticize him for his TLDR and say he obviously favors his daughter. Your take on this is interesting to me. I really don't hate my son. I dislike his choices but never hate him. If I did, then it would matter at all. The easiest way to describe them is generalized stereotypes. The makeup comment I can see. But it was mainly to include another angle on saving money. Beauty products are expensive. You might not know how expensive they can be over time. I believe that good habits start young. I'm not bragging about him not getting student loans if it is considered bragging. Then I'm sorry, I'm not trying to do that. How will it look if I just give him the money? To him, it will show that it does not matter what he does. I will just throw money at him. Or my daughter? Save, work hard and make good moves for your future just to be in the same position as someone who didn't do that. What am I withholding from him? I explained investment accounts, stocks, passive income and ways to achieve them or start them. I will help, but I'm not making decisions for you. My twins made their own decisions throughout the divorce. I get where you are coming from, but I disagree. There is so much more going on. And then I can put in the op. Thank you for your input. I guess I'm not seeing it. Personally wise, even from young ages my son and ex had a close relationship. I had a closer relationship with my daughter. But all of us had good relations. The divorce changed so much. The years after until they decided to spend more time at other houses. Which is what really hurt. My daughter and son have a good relationship. Of course. Now it is a little strained. But they hang out all the time. Talk and text. Spend time at my house or my ex's. We still have dinner as a big family a few times a month. I was trying to simplify the connection between all of us. It was probably in bad taste. What does your daughter think of all of this? My daughter is probably more frustrated than I am about the situation. When I backed off, not quit altogether, she was the one who kept trying to get him to sow something about his future. She would give hints like I did, offered him to copy some of her moneymakers, putting money into different interest-building accounts. Also, at one point, she made a plan that he could follow to start a small business. All of this was about the same reaction I got. He blew her off. Or it was like talking to a brick wall. I grew up with just my sister and my mom. I was a child when I had to act like an adult. My first job was at 12 working on a farm part-time. Got my farmer's license at 14. Did everything I could for my sister and mom. I never expected handouts and never accepted any. I realize my kids have a massive privileged lifestyle, but I need them to understand the importance of hard work and expectations of life. They have a massive step up from what most people, myself included. There are so many opportunities to get ahead. Start on the right path. Take college classes while in high school. Apply for more grants and scholarships. Start a business. And copy his sister, who would have been a shortcut to what works based on her experience. If he sold his car and most of his shoes, he could go to the college he wants for 3.5 years. He starts budgeting and takes his sister offer, or mine, and he is set. Why did you make your daughter take responsibility for your son? I don't keep involving my daughter. She went out on her own to ask an offer. Limit him but not my daughter? Sounds fair to me. Both had the same opportunities. If anything, I gave him more. I love my son. He is a good kid but makes dumb choices when it comes to money. I won't get behind the he is just a child argument, because at what point do you become an adult? 18? 25? Quote. OOP's post is voted not enough info because of the top comment. Now removed. However, the following top comments are YTA because he expected his son to manage money at such a young age. Update post. May 8, 2023. Bit over a month later. Hello all. Hope all is well. Let's get down to it. So my original AITA was about showing favoritism for my daughter and financially hurting my son. The comments went way far from that topic. It was interesting for me. For the people who sent me aggressive messages. Not cool. Some questions to be addressed. Why would I just not pay for everything? I am trying to teach my kids about financial responsibility. Money has value, and nothing is given without work. I bet if my son posted his view, you would call him entitled too. But they were so young when they started gambling with money in the stock market. True, but they have grown up since then. Yes, they are still kids. But maturity does not just develop at 25 like some people on here think. Editor's note. Quite a few comments on the OG post talked about how the kids were too young and their brains don't develop until 25. Oop disagreed with this opinion. Not the science but the idea that his kids shouldn't be accountable. 3. You gave them their college fund to waste. No. College fund has always been secured and untouched unless I was putting money in it. They used allowance money. 3. Why are you not giving him a good start in life? He has a better start than the majority of people. So, I talked to my daughter. She said she would be upset if I just gave him the money. She worked hard and values her time and effort. I agreed that would be a bad idea, but we came up with 3 options. I added a 4th, to present him, my ex-wife. All of them had rules attached, and the same amount would be given to my daughter. Rules, grades, housing rules, and behavior. He sells his car and some of his shoe collections to save money and put it towards the fund. And I will help him again to make passive income. He picks a lower college that is more cost-effective but still a good school. He gets a job, and I will match his pay. I just give him the money, but as a loan, 0% interest, but he has to pay back in a timely manner. Money, if paid back, will go back to him in the future. Down payment or wedding or something. Ex and family put in the difference in the account. I laid it all out for him. My ex and him did not like it. So I asked my ex why she is pushing this so much and why she has not put any money into the account. Since we originally opened it, there were excuses. And she finally said, I have to save money to my daughter. 6 almost 7F. Unless you want to set up a fund for her as well. I am setting things up with my youngest daughter. 3F. The same way I did with my twins. I'm not doing it for her daughter. Anyway, I have given him a few weeks to figure out what he wants. He acknowledged that I was right. He was unfair to his sister about the way he went about things and will do better in the future. He picked a modified version of option 2. He is still going to his number 4 pick. Is looking for a job. Sold some shoes. And said he will be responsible for housing costs. He apologized to me and his sister. I hope he keeps working hard towards his goals. TLDR. Gave my son options. He picked and negotiated it. He will go to a college he wants to. Ex-wife is pissed at me. Relevant comments. You should negotiate for top college. Not number 4. When he was picking schools, he picked the top 3 that had more of a party environment. His number 4 school is more education focused and better for the degree he wants to get or just a better program. Sue, are you giving your daughter extra money? Yeah, that is why I had a discussion with her. Even though people think it was inappropriate, I asked for her opinion on how she feels about it all. And she thought the options were fair in her eyes. I did not just ask for only her opinion in this, and made it clear that what I do for my son I will do for my daughter. Yeah, her schooling will be 100% paid for with some extra. One more thought from Oop. This is where I disagree. I needed to find a middle ground in which my daughter would feel comfortable with the extra help of her brother. If I just did something without consulting her, it would have been showing favoritism. So, in order to be fair, I did ask for her opinion on if she was comfortable with the opinions. The reason he lives more with my ex does not have anything to do with my favoritism. There are a bunch of factors that lead to his decision. The context of this post is such a small piece of the total relationship between us all. In this aspect, it may be that I show a bit more favoritism towards my daughter. But there are plenty of other things that show favoritism towards my son. My son and I relationship is really good on most if not all other aspects. Does he make dumb decisions? Yes. He, as so many people pointed out, is still a kid. My daughter does the same thing. But they learn from these decisions and mistakes. I'm not trying to make excuses. But there is a much bigger picture in the relationships between us all. I may seem like the for the way I said some things. But trying to keep things within the character count is hard. Also, while trying to be vague at the same time, it might not have allowed me to convey the information in a neutral way as possible. Examples are the way I describe my kids and how my daughter doesn't put on much makeup. Those were two generalized ways to describe them where most people would get the idea while not spending a bunch of time describing them. With the makeup, I see my mistake, but it comes down to how expensive that stuff is. I still stand by that. It is priced ridiculously and the industry thrives on making women feel they are not enough without it. My ex and I tried to teach our daughter that she is beautiful both inside and out without makeup. My dad has a rule where everything has to be fair. I occasionally get an unexpected check in the mail and that's when I know my brother needed money. Couldn't imagine owning enough shoes that I could sell some off and put a dent in a tuition payment. Ex-wife accuses OOP of favoritism. Then admits she just doesn't want to pay for their son so she can focus all her money on her own daughter. Pot. Meet kettle. Honestly, I wish my parents showed me how to invest and such when I was that young because now I know jacked about it and fumble my way through it. Good for OOP also for realizing that if he just gave in and gave free money to the son that the son did not work for but the daughter did, that is also showing favoritism. Also, I never understood people's perception that children need to grow up in a consequence-free environment. I have to save money to my daughter. 6 almost 7F. Unless you want to set up a fund for her as well. I am setting things up with my youngest daughter. 3F. The same way I did with my twins. I'm not doing it for her daughter. We now see where son gets his massive level of entitlement. Son literally was gifted tens of thousands of dollars for school and a transportation and people are actually saying he wasn't spoiled and deserves more. The audacity of all of these people is wild. I am still unable to understand how he is playing favorites for the son when he actually gave him decent options. IDK how this sub works honestly. Like how does it even seem fair to the daughter? They both had the same college fund. But daughter saved extra money while son just wasted the money. I'll just assume everyone in the comments are from super rich families who never had any problems. And just leave. I feel like I'm going insane disagreeing with all these comments. This guy is obviously NTA. Dad was trying to give the son everything he needed, not everything he wanted. The number of comments saying he was playing favorites while ignoring the fact he kept investing the same amount of time, if not more, trying to convince the son to get himself into the same situation as his daughter. We're tiring reading. Did I read the part right where if he gets a job his father is going to match his salary? There's too much going on here. I remember commenting on the original post. The other comments drove me crazy on this one. The reading comprehension levels on AITA are low. The guy was super clear that the college funds were the same and secure. He taught them how to invest money to add more on top of their college funds. He treated both kids the same in this situation. There isn't any favoritism outside of talking about how his daughter succeeded in investing while his son simply wasn't interested. And that's not even favoritism. I commented originally that the best option would be to offer to pay for both kids' tuition, but as an interest-free loan. That way his daughter has the option to potentially go to a more expensive school or simply keep her savings for later. And his son has the option to go to the school he wants while not being given a handout. I don't understand the people who think kids can't be expected to learn the value of money and say, oh, their brains don't get fully developed until 25. As if the brain isn't developing at all until that point. My parents started giving my siblings and I money when we turned 10. First, money for doing chores. And then, a monthly allowance. And sat us down and taught us the value of saving and investing. As a 25-year-old living on her own now, The fruits of those ingrained lessons mean I'm better off financially than half of my friends. Even accounting for salaries, education levels, and family backgrounds. And I can't thank my parents enough for that. Bunch of losers saying YTA. He sounds like a fantastic father. This is all about allowance money. The kid had a separate college fund and car fund. He simply blew it even with many warnings from OOP. He still has a ton of options that many kids will never have. The only in all this is the ex-wife. She really had the gall to say she doesn't help fund him because she would rather fund her new daughter and just expects OOP to pay for everything. No wonder they're divorced. There were excuses. And she finally said, I have to save money to my daughter. 6 almost 7F. Unless you want to set up a fund for her as well. I am setting things up with my youngest daughter. 3F. The same way I did with my twins. I'm not doing it for her daughter. Lol, isn't she the one who's showing favoritism? She has money to set up funds for her other child but doesn't want to contribute anything for her son? Doesn't matter if the other parent is more financially capable. I still think it's unfair to expect only one parent to pay for your child's fund. I assume she didn't pay for the twin daughter's fund too, so basically only OP pay for it, yet he's the bad parents? Skull. This is a great example of how off-base Reddit can be. God forbid you teach your children accountability and money management. Giving your child $20,000 for tuition and a car is more than generous enough to have a huge head start in life. Oh hey. Yet another post showing what an absolute cesspit, am I the asshole really is. Could start collecting these like collecting shoes. I'm surprised there were so many people saying that children can't manage money at a young age. But it also explains why people are fundamentally emotionally and financially stunted at 30+ years old. Their parents probably never instilled any responsibility into them at a young age. If you treat children like they are incapable of learning and be responsible, they will turn out that way. But children learn the best out of all ages. They are little sponges and yearn to learn. If you think that you shouldn't teach a child boring responsibilities while they are young, because they need to be kids, then you are denying them opportunities to learn. Plain and simple. I judge parents that coddle their children into entitled, irresponsible, emotionally useless adults. I'm confused at the issue people had with OOP. He is teaching financial responsibility and has made plans for his children to have help where needed, while the ex has essentially said her old kids are OOP's problem and she isn't going to pay anything. Being fun mom shouldn't be her only goal. My wife and I are the stereotype of high school sweethearts. I'm more of a geek. She was a cheerleader. My son takes after my wife and my daughter take after me. My daughter is more like me, a geek. My son is like my ex-wife, popular and materialistic. Well, unfortunately that explains so much. I have a feeling what he does with his will turn this all up to 11. Am I in crazy town? Why would he be the asshole for letting his son spend his allowance? If the daughter had put hers into a savings account and the son spent his, why should he be reimbursed? He's already got money for college. He just can't go to an expensive party school.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.